to talk about regrets. I think they're unavoidable, unfortunately. I did try to avoid all of them. I'm still in my 20s. I'm about to turn 27 in a month. And I think I still have quite some regrets. But first, let's have a bit backstory. If it's very weird, Uncle, tell me. But I'm trying to be more conversational. And we're just chatting. So when I was in high school, I was introduced to the idea, I'm pretty sure by one of our teachers, about what are typical regrets of people. So some person interviewed people in hospices, so really old people that are in the end of their lives, about to die. What are their biggest regrets? Then they combined them in common themes, and I'm pretty sure they published a book and made a bunch of TED Talks and went to a bunch of shows, but I saw none of them. I was introduced to conversation, and then I saw a bunch of discourse on internet. That's not important. Some of the regrets I do remember from that list that were kind of stuck in my mind were not spending enough time with your family and working too much and not spending enough time with your family. But also I think one of the key ones points were people were much more likely to regret not doing something than doing something. And I guess the point was you need to try something, even if you fail, you will regret not trying. And I'm great, I learned about this early, I will do everything to have no regrets. Yeah, I know, it's silly. By the way, I already have a bit questions because I'm pretty sure it was done only in America. I'm not sure how big a sample it was. For example, this working too much and not spend enough time with the family. I'm pretty sure there were men in the period where all household chores were with women. So I would actually be really excited whether research was done with other cultures and other categories of people, but that's not the point. So I'm about to turn 27 and I realize that regrets are unavoidable, and I already have some. So I wanted to mention a few examples and why I think they're unavoidable. So main principle why they're unavoidable is, first of all, we learn more throughout our life, and looking back we can realize I should have done that. And this causes this emotion which you maybe in your head understand that that were circumstances of the time, but the feeling you feel is kind of regret. So I had it already happen to me. Actually, all regarding university, I'm really young. I didn't have that much of a life, so a lot of those will be related to career choices and university. So when I entered university, I was I want to join everything, I want to join every group, I want to experience university life. And the first few weeks, I tried to befriend everyone, I applied for all the groups, even the most random ones, and I wasn't accepted in any. I couldn't even say the specific reason, just for some I didn't have enough skills, for others they were asking something and I was I actually don't know how to do that, and I was it was only first year and I ended up in none of the groups and I didn't have any close friends. And I also was at the time when I thought, when I'm invited to coffee, if I'm not drinking coffee, I should say no. Yeah, I know. So I kind of missed all that stuff, and now I know that in some cases I needed to go to people. They might have not have application for their group, but I can just go and talk to them. In other cases, I understand that actually such groups, university groups, accept people who do not have skills. You can say I don't have skills, but I would like to learn. And no, it wasn't obvious for me. No one told me. I have not seen it. There was no way I would know that or do that. Now I know, yes, it's obvious I could have done that, but another thing is I didn't go to Erasmus or any of the student opportunities. First of all, I actually knew they existed, but when I tried researching, most of them were this Fulbright in America. and they would ask like your experience, but like I didn't work in high school, we didn't had any like student-led activities, so like I don't have anything. I didn't know that you actually can communicate your experience. Actually was part of so many hobbies and clubs, and I could communicate my experience in a way that is interesting to these people. But when I was looking for information, it didn't exist. I didn't know that in my sphere. I'm sure it was somewhere. But when I was Googling how to do that, examples I were given like weren't applicable to me, and I was like, well, I cannot do that. I regret not finding that information earlier. Or friendships. I didn't really, I was in the same group and school class, basically from kindergarten, and some people changed, but there were like cliques and groups, so to be honest, I didn't have that many friendship making skills. I don't know, people were just there, and I regret not realizing I needed to make more efforts to make friends, or how to make friends, that I can invite people. For me, it was like great realization. You can invite people to coffee, and it's not necessarily coffee. Like I know maybe for you, you're listening to and like, you're really stupid. How you couldn't realize that, or it's like really obvious. Of course, for me, but that's example for me. Like I'm regretting that, but I couldn't have known. Maybe there was science, maybe that information existed in somewhere, but I couldn't have known to look for it. And for you, it can be something completely different. And now I find also so many channels that I also realize might have not existed at the time, that show all the opportunities, including short one, including fully funded ones, which I could have applied, like which I could have afforded. Because at the time, even ones that required like 20 euros of entry fee, I couldn't apply. I don't know, maybe I could ask my parents, but again, in my head, it wasn't possible. So it couldn't have happened, but I still regret. Another type of regret is not going into art school. Because in my head, all I knew about artists, you need to be really talented or really rich. Like it wasn't a career, it was like you need to be like that person. And I knew people go to art school, but I wasn't sure how it's related to career. Like right now, I see people on Instagram who like, I finished this art school, and sure, they even sometimes complain they haven't taught them everything that needed for artists in career, or there are some issues in those art school, but they got networking, they have understanding of the industry, and that's their job, and they're not struggling poor artists. So I wish I knew about that, and I could have went there when I had still support from my parents, but when I still didn't need to work, because going to art school and working in parallel sounds like a nightmare. So like technically I can go to art school, like save some money, but it wouldn't be the same. Yes, I can do that, but I would need to sacrifice quality of my life, etc. So this is also this type of regret. Another type of regret comes from choice. Every time you make a decision to do that, you choose not to do something else. You can do anything and not everything. Actually, against points that you can do anything, because there are things like different wealth inequality, class inequality, access issues. Yes, we always hear about like this really poor person, they work and become a millionaire, but how many people also worked hard, also tried, and they never did? They maybe got into debt, they maybe work in a grocery store. It doesn't make them bad people, but they weren't lucky. Like, yeah, those people who become really, really rich worked really, really hard, but they were also lucky. That's topic for another day. So, for example, I already have this regret. I'm working a career I kind of enjoy. I like it. I receive good money. However, sometimes I regret not choosing something even more well-paying. Maybe something like a cybersecurity or engineering. Like, I think I would be able in the same time reach much higher paying jobs, or before AI happens, software engineering. And I also sometimes regret not going for something more artistic. Like I was considering going into architecture school. However, I wasn't ready to pass this creative test for entry. And in my head, I was like, well, I don't know, other ideas also sound fun. An idea spending, like not going to university for a year was like, oh my god, I'm a failure. So and sometimes I regret that no one in my circle like told that it's actually a okay option or encouraged me to go. Maybe I would regret it that, or maybe I would regret it even becoming an artist. Like there is always something to regret. But also I have regret about features that are still can be changed, but not without sacrifices and not exactly how I would want it to. Last example I want to give is my attitude to PhD. I would like to have a PhD. First of all, I would like to brag. Like being a doctor, I would be so proud of myself. Other people can be jealous of myself. So yes, it's very super. The word eluded me, but you know what I mean. Another thing I would like to prove to myself and others that I can do. It's extremely hard dedication to a specific topic. You become one of the top experts. You become the expert in the topic and one of the key experts in the field. Like how cool could it be to prove yourself that you can do that? The idea of researching something also sounds cool. Like I keep seeing this person who she got PhD. She calls it kinky history, but basically how sex was perceived and done throughout the ages. So it's PhD in history, but a specific area. And I'm like, how cool is that? Like you spent years researching, not like practical. Well, I use very big quotations because I believe everything is useful and every knowledge is practical, but like not employable, let's say, topic. Something like that, or as a person become expert in child's jewelry, they research, they become like the first expert and their PhD is like a really huge book. And I was like, that would be amazing. However, let's say I will go for something like that. I would regret it. I regret not going for a PhD, or if I will never go for a PhD, but I would regret going for a PhD. I'm sure of it. Reasons. First of all, regardless what topic I choose, I will regret not choosing other. If I will choose something like more artistic, interesting to research, I will regret not going for something practical and finding a way to make a lot of money, because there are certain areas of like research and PhDs that you can become like really, they're really sought after, like maybe something in robotics or applied mathematics, but if I, or like even economics and business, but if I will go there, I will feel like I betrayed my passion and I didn't choose the right topic there. And also I might even regret any topic because you need to dedicate yourself to a very niche topic for many years. Another reason I would regret doing PhD, unless circumstances would fall like absolutely perfectly for me, which I don't see happening, is money and quality of life. Because yes, you are paid for doing PhD, but it's actually a very small amount. You can think about grants. Academia is actually a job, well, not the most well-paying one, and from research I did, grants are also very sought after. They're not always available, so also not guaranteed. Again, it's actually not that employable, even in more like practical areas such as economics, and especially in something like history. So if I would be doing, I would be doing it mostly for fun for myself, which sounds amazing, but I would need to sacrifice the quality of my life. It means that when I want to learn a new language, I will have no money to pay for courses. Yes, I can learn it by myself, but I would enjoy it less, there would be less progress. I would regret doing that also. I would regret not traveling enough, not having money to travel, because I finally was at a point where I could travel. Yes, these are short travels, like 1-2 days, but I was able to travel more often. I'm currently a bit in a tighter money situation for a few months, And I already regret not having that freedom to just go on weekends to another country. And committing to a PhD would mean extending it even longer. So what I meant by that, regret is human emotion and it's unavoidable. And I choose to see it not as a negative, but as a positive. Regardless what you choose, there will be some regret. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't matter what you choose, but when you feel regret, because you will, it's not because you made a wrong choice or because you failed at something, but because you're human. And you can use regret when evaluating your choices. For example, what I would regret in this scenario, and in this scenario, what would I regret more? Or maybe I would regret it the same, but this would be more hurtful, for example, to my family. So we feel regret, and I don't think trying to avoid regret is necessarily a bad strategy. And asking yourself, would I regret this choice? As I said, might be a useful tool, but I think we need to accept that it's not fully possible. And just live with that. I find some freedom in understanding that my regrets regarding my university life doesn't mean I failed, that I wasn't good enough in that. It's just circumstances were like that. If I will never get a PhD, it doesn't mean, and I will be in a dying deathbed, and some researcher will come and ask what you regret the most, and oh, I regret not taking a PhD. It doesn't mean I would not regret not doing some other things. It's impossible to live a life without regret in you can, depending on your philosophy, you can let your regret go because you made a choice and it's your life, but there is still, but it's more of an attitude towards regret as an emotion, and as a thing that I wish I would done something, or I wish I haven't done something, still will happen. So if you're in your 20s or any other age, do you experience regret, have attitude to regret the same as I do?